Okay, let's risk to do another one. Because I think I did two bigger ones, like for 20 minutes, which is long for me, but two very important ones. Because they were talking of my progress and they were talking of the things I learned along the way. And I'm honestly impatient to know what I will learn again, what I will learn in the future. I want to talk about a bit about when you're changing, self isolating, and working on yourself. Sometimes, because the old rules that you lived by do not apply anymore, you are still afraid to face. I'm using that word afraid, and I'm saying to myself in my head, I wish I could stop using that word eventually. Like, honestly, the less fear, the better. Fear is the biggest blocker of everything. Also, not me who said that. But yeah, so when you've changed and the old rules do not apply anymore in your head and in your behavior, first of all, and this a lot of people talk about it, people might be pissed and you might lose relationships because of it, or the relationships might worsen because the people don't understand first why you have changed so much, and second of all, why they can't pull your strings in the same way, and why don't you react in the same way, and why don't you interact with them the same way neither. Why are you all of a sudden seeing different things and saying different things and talking to them from a different perspective? Because they got used to the older version of you, and yeah, but sometimes sometimes I'm a bit reluctant to go back out again and interact with people and create more situations for myself, because it's easy to say that you have changed when you're sitting on the floor in your room talking to the camera. It's easy to say that you've changed from the inside, you are a different person now, which is, by the way, not true. But it's not easy when you're confronted with situations again where you have to choose a different path. That's what's not easy. For example, when you're confronted with rejection, when you're confronted with people criticizing you, and instead of taking it into your heart and inside you, you have to choose a different path, or in dating, or in relationships, or like when you decide, for example, to talk with a person from your past, if they will even respond to you, you you have to choose a different strategy, different behavior this time. And you sometimes don't trust yourself to behave different. I sometimes don't trust myself to behave different because you're always, again, that word, afraid to fall onto the patterns that you used to be. I think every person who has significantly changed or is in the process of significant change, personality change, physical change, status change, I don't know, like everything, ego, death, ego change, they are terrified that they still behave the same way, that they are still getting caught on the same triggers, that they are still kind of will behave the same way if confronted with the same situation. And I am certainly terrified of it. I am I don't want to default back to the old settings. I don't want to default back to the old me. I know it takes a different choice. I know it takes a different behavior. I know it takes a different also setup of the nervous system, because sometimes when your system is in like dysregulation and like panic mode, you behave very different than in normal mode, and you make decisions very differently as well. But when the old rules don't apply, you sometimes wonder whether will I still default back to them? If confronted with a real situation, will I be the same again? I would I would just give one example, but I'm thinking of several right now. One is the reaction to rejection, because I'm wondering how would I react to rejection? Would I be resilient enough to go on? How would I handle this? Because I'm mentally preparing, I would say, for, you know, the process and the rejections and the, confrontation with the real world, so to speak, when not everyone understands what I'm talking about right now, and that's completely okay. Not everyone understands the concept of people changing, and not everyone needs it. That's completely okay, also. Or I'm thinking about my pattern, which I also used to have and still do to a certain extent, to run away from complicated things and complicated situations, to distance myself and to distance instead of resolve, distance instead of confront, distance instead of talk it out, distance instead of explain. You know, that's very deep wiring, that's very deep patterns of behavior, that's very deep stuff that it's easy to say. Don't run away, stay. Don't run away, talk it out. Don't run away. But when you're confronted with a real situation, someone, being aggressive on you or pushing on you, or sometimes someone who you value a lot, and sometimes who you want to have a relationship with, for example, it's something in you keeps wondering, will I run away again? Am I the old me again? Did nothing change? And I really, really, really do that work. So basically, the method that I chose to change myself. I have this intention, and I do think it's the only true intention I ever had from the beginning, to change, to change, to change. Because at some point, when you are plus 30 years old or even earlier, you get tired of the old wiring, you get tired of the old self talk, and you get tired of the old running and hiding and self criticizing and self diminishing and saying mean things to yourself and being people pleaser and being people doormat and always saying yes, 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 I will do, yes, I will be, yes, I will adapt, like whatever it is for you. Maybe it's something completely different. Some people get tired of always being in conflict, always being in battle, always being in confrontation, always fighting everyone, everything, even the bus driver. Some people get tired of always taking care of other people. They are like legitimately asking the question, why the fuck did I spend my life caring for others all the time? But in the end, I'm broken. I'm sick. I don't have anything left. And you wonder, because I do want this new life still. I'm feeling it approaching. I think it's changed. I used to want things, now I can feel them coming. Yeah, it's a different thing. To want something and to feel it coming are different things. But I wonder if and when should see if was the previous one, when is the new one. So when they come, will I actually be able to take it and to sustain it and to hold it? Like if a healthy relationship comes and a partner that is truly loving, caring, great, full for life comes, will I be able to hold it, you know? Or will I begin all this shit again? And if, for example, I don't know, creative success or like some measure of success, some sliver of success happens, or failure, will I be able to hold it? Will I be able to not revert back to the previous me, to the previous me who gives up, to the previous me who capitulates, to the previous me who blames herself for everything, which is also a thing I learned. To the previous me who is always thinks it's her fault, whether I be able to hold it. Or even easier example, if a huge sum of money comes, will I be able to psychologically withstand that? Because now I realize that I didn't have a lot of things I wanted in life, I think, because I couldn't stand having them. I couldn't stand holding them. I would rather run away. I didn't think myself worthy of them. I didn't think myself equal to them. I didn't think I was deserving enough. I just didn't think it was for me. It's weird, but I think I've missed opportunities because of it. Because my old shit was just holding me and not letting me go, and I was not letting it go. Also, I was letting my old experiences, as we all do, to manage my life in the new one. You know, if you had a bad relationship or something, will you let that experience manage your next ones? Will you be suspicious? Will you be jealous? Will you be angry? Will you be resentful? Will you disappear? What will you do? And again, it's easy to say all of this in front of the camera. It's easy to kind of to admit to yourself that you have changed, but also, who knows? I mean, yeah, in a real world, in a real situation, in a real conflict, in a real stress, high stress situation, what would resurface? And that's why I'm committed to continuing the work, and that's why I'm committed to kind of limiting my life still, meaning focusing on what I would like, feeling myself into what I would like to be, what I would like to do, what I would like to become, and not basically it's isolation and focus. I think it's isolation and focus on continuing the work because I sense I still have work to do, and it's very hard always to admit that you have a lot of work to do to become the person you want to be, and some things in life you didn't get because you didn't do that work on yourself. Like some things in life you clearly didn't get or didn't yet obtain or didn't get because you were not ready to have them or you didn't do the work on yourself to sustain them. You would have lost them. And I do think I would have lost things with my old mindset because I would have been too insecure, too unsure of myself, and too fearful to actually accept and hold it and sustain it. And I'm talking about myself, but I do think it's a universal thing. Everyone has something. It might not be the fear as it is for me. It might be something else. You know, it might be even worse. I do realize that a lot of people have it even worse. They always end up in abusive relationships. They always end up with aggressive partners. They always end up underpaid. They always end up miserable. Like, it's the same. I'm talking about the same thing. I'm just talking about a much more evolved, not evolved, like a much more easy case, I think. And also a lot of work to get out of it because it's also a choice. One is not obligated to work on themselves. One can stay where they are with the people they are surrounded with in the situation they are. I also could have stayed despite that part that was begging on her knees to like be let go and be released and just to go find a new life, go find a new something, like go change. And yeah, I'm repeating it again and again, but I'm wondering if the old rules are not applied anymore. Will I be able to apply the new rules? Will I be able to apply the new me? Will I be able to apply the mechanics of the new behavior? Will I have to like fall on my face, make mistakes, and try to apply them again? Because yeah, when you behave in a way that you've never behaved before, you are getting reactions and things that you've never got before. When you behave differently, you're getting different reactions, and so sometimes they frighten you into into being your old self again, and that's why it's hard. And I don't think it's talked about enough that when people get out of their old personality, that's why sometimes it's easier to change the country, to change the surroundings, to change the people around you, to just completely get rid of all the old stuff, because when you behave differently in a new environment, it's immeasurably more easy than if you behave differently in an old environment, because old environment will fight against you changing. And I've already said it, but a part of you will fight against yourself changing. Your fears will fight against yourself changing. Your old beliefs will fight against yourself changing. And you will feel that resistance, and you will wonder why it's not happening for me yet. And then you'll feel a bit more resistance and wonder a bit more. And so it goes.